adults have a really false sense of if I know enough information about English, then I'll be fluent. One day I'll just magically speak English. And they stay in school for years and years and years.
Yeah,
Never actually happens. And then children are the opposite. They just join a soccer team and start speaking English. We have an interview or a meet them or something. They go, I can't believe you're so nice. I just passionate.
welcome back to our channel. This is another video where we chat with language teaching expert in a fun and informal way. Our today's guest is trained, professional like you. It's really inspiring. I think.
Oh, this is good because I'm really hostile on LinkedIn. Like I'm just calling people.
So, Judy, you have a rather fascinating educational background. You're a learning facilitator, curriculum designer, an author, professional speaker, pronunciation teacher trainer, language specialist, content writer. Oh, I give up. I give up. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Don't say it all.
Here's a part of your professional career that I think our viewers are particularly interested in. Let's dive into your passion for language teaching. What drew you to language teaching?
Well, I'm Canadian, so we all took French in school. And then when we graduate, we don't speak French. None of us speak French. Some of us understand a little bit. Yeah. And then when I was called to be an English as a second language teacher, and I got a great job with the Board of Education, a plum job, benefits, pension, everything, good pay. I couldn't help noticing the students never spoke English, and it didn't matter how long they stayed in class. So language teaching was talking about language. It wasn't doing language. There was no confidence and no facility with the language. And my first job was adult ESL outside of Toronto. And these people, immigrants, really needed to speak English to integrate, get jobs, and take care of their family. And I felt I was letting them down. Okay. So I vowed anybody who comes through my class, and they were 10-week courses, nobody's going to leave this class after 10 weeks and not be able to speak English about anything to anyone.
Okay,
that was my goal, and we did it.
So you see,
throw out the curriculum.
That's fascinating. Thanks for sharing. And one thing that really strikes me, in your presentation and right is that there's a balance between deep knowledge and simplicity that usually shine through your talks and writing. And I find it really fascinating. I find it really, really effective because otherwise you'd probably be very much like trying to teach a child of the importance of sleep by telling them about this brain wiring or neuroscience term. Exactly. All the child probably wants to know is why she has to go to bed early, why bedtime is important. And I think the way you do it by explaining these complex terms in a very clear and simple and engaging way is sort of adds it's quite unconventional, really, and I really love it. I really love it. What would you say inspired you to develop this unique style of teaching?
One of the first things I noticed is that writing and speaking aren't connected. So once you can read, you forget how you read, and once you speak, you forget how you speak. And in school, they insist that they're connected, and they're actually unconnected because the alphabet doesn't make sense, because spelling doesn't make sense. So the insisting that somebody can read English and then speak it is ridiculous. It's cruel. So speaking can't be that hard. And I'm glad you mentioned the little 2-year-old that doesn't want to go to bed. That 2-year-old expresses herself perfectly, and she never went to school. So how do all children pick it up flawlessly with no formal studying, no labeling of anything at all? So, and I've got lots of children and lots of experience. So I just dove deep into what has it that makes conversation work. And it's really, really simple. A toddler can figure it out. So I'm glad that you said simple because that was
Yeah,
key.
really.
And so I did a course, and the textbook was English is Crazy, and it's the
Mhm.
6 principles that hold all conversations together with no exceptions. So patterns have no exceptions. So we teach rules and everybody forgets them, and brains can't retain details. Teachers say what they were taught to say, and we're not allowed to examine it and say, wait a second, well, that's not true, or that's not effective. When English Crazy came out, it went all over the world, but like 60 countries and thousands of copies.
Speaking of your books, the other day I was watching one of your TEDx talks. What a compelling presentation! I really enjoyed the talk. When you mentioned the anecdote on and about your children, um, what I thought, well, you could have thrown it, from your extensive experience on, as an English teacher or as a teacher trainer. By making it, more personal, you sort of endeared yourself to the audience. Do you incorporate this personal touch in your writing as well, in your books?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. They all have stories of students. We had a flood of Syrian refugee guests
Mhm.
to Canada. And in the city not far from here, a small city, they had 100 families hosting guests, but
Mm.
none of the families were teachers. So they were
Right.
accountants and truck drivers, and they called the Chamber of Commerce of the city said, can you teach
Oh,
secretaries and nurses how to speak English in 2.5 hours? We got 100 families, so 50 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon. Can you
it's
teach
quite a
100 families
challenge.
how to teach English in 2.5 hours? And I said, sure, sure. Teach them the thing that they need to know most first.
Mm.
And then almost everything after that is irrelevant. Kind of a breakthrough moment for me. And I'll never forget her. She was from Sri Lanka and she was 19 and she just come to class. She was new. Students were working and I was at my desk. And she came up to me and she said, Teacher, you me washroom. And I said, sure, go ahead. Like in any time you don't. And she wasn't at the door. And I thought, how did that work? How did that work seamlessly? If everything about it that I was teaching her was wrong, how did I still understand her? So there's
Mm.
something else, that's operating. Its context is one thing, and word stress is another. It's not grammar and it's
Mm.
not pronunciation. And we focus on grammar and pronunciation
Mhm.
exclusively, and
Right.
neither of them matter.
Can you elaborate on why context is that important or probably
Oh,
the
sure.
most
I could do
important?
another student story if you want.
Oh, go
He
ahead.
was
So that's what we want
he
to
was
hear.
Pablo, and he was from Brazil. He was
Yeah,
also 19. He was pretty young. And you could tell from his clothes and his manners that he was wealthy in his country. And I don't know what
right.
situation had him come to Canada, and I don't care. But
Mm.
he was late for class, really late. And this was not like him. And he sat in, I don't care if they're late, stuff happens and they're late. But he sat down and stood up and sat down and stood up and sat down. And I finally said, Pablo, do you have something to share? Do you need something to say? And like he was jacked up, he was pumped. So he lives right at the edge of the industrial and the residential part of the city. And he was waiting for the bus with an old lady, an elderly woman.
Mm.
He was waiting for the bus into town and she collapsed and fell forward on the ground. So here he
Oh,
is, 19 years old, and a woman is collapsed and he has no English. So you get his position, right? So
oh,
he
wow.
ran to, I know, he explained all of this with gestures and little words.
Mm.
And he went to the lobby of an industrial building. It had a big glass, and he could see a security guard in it. And he's miming like this. He's banging on the window, and the security guard comes to the door, opens it this far. And he said, what do you want? And Pablo says, woman, heart. bus. That's what he said to her. You could say those three words in any order. And you know perfectly well what the security guard did. He punched 911 and an ambulance was there in 5 minutes. You know, the context,
Yeah, it's
and the important words in any order. He didn't come back to school for like 3 months. When he came back in, he was just talking English. And I
wow.
said, where did you go? He said, I thought I had to go to school to learn English, and I don't. I had to speak English to learn English. And he talked just like that. 3 months out of school. That one piece, the piece of the word stress, the confidence that people would understand with gestures and content words, important words. The kid was over 8. He never would have learned that if he stayed in school.
Right. No, that's really most viewers can relate to. It really resonate with lots of people. You know, at the end of the day, when they want to learn English in general, what most people want is just to be able to communicate, isn't it? Can non-native speakers, perhaps inadvertently, create this pressure for native speakers to use perfect English?
Oh, that's shifting. Here's the inside track. When they asked me to do a TED Talk, they wanted to see the color vowel chart. And I thought, oh, that takes 10 minutes to learn. You know, I thought if this is going to be recorded for all of time on a huge platform, it was the first year that it was open to TEDx. I thought I really want to say something that will be relevant 20 years. So what's relevant in 20 years, which is coming up soon, you know, that talk was 15 years ago, was that native English speakers are the problem in the global language. We talk too fast. We use too many expressions. We don't pause enough. And all that changed. It's changing now. I heard about a international bankers meeting in Ireland. No native speakers are invited. No one's, because just the presence of a native speaker intimidates everyone, and they don't speak. They have way better meetings.
Wow, that's surprising. Yeah, that's surprising.
In English, they're speaking English. So anybody with English as a second language can virtually understand anybody else with English as a second language.
One of your training courses, you actually mentioned the idea of re-educating learners. So learners having to learn differently.
They have to unlearn.
Unlearn, yeah.
They gotta unlearn.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, 15 years ago, unlearn wasn't a word, but now we're so stopped. I was just in Tanzania in January, and they did the most brilliant thing. It was a high school. They wanted me to teach the teachers, which I love to do. So they got a class of students and in a huge classroom and put all the teachers at the back, and the teachers watched me teach the students. Like the students got it faster than the teachers. And I'm talking to the teachers and go, you know, they don't have to let go of a bunch of stuff that's stopping them that they learned in school. They'll just jump right in. These kids were high school. I got videos of it somewhere. But like to incorporate the students in the program that's going to affect them directly and see their reactions and where they stumble and where they pick it up was freaking brilliant. When was the last time you were at teacher training and they had any students? You know, or parent teacher or school committee meetings have no students at them ever. You know, why not? Tanzania didn't do that. Said, bring them all in. Let's see what the students think, see how it works with students.
You strike a balance between this deep knowledge and simplicity. And I really, it's really engaging. And
it might be a little bit about empathy.
Yeah.
It's useful to teach a whole lot of stuff because students ask you questions and you have to be able to answer. but they don't need to know everything you know to use English. They need to know 5% of what you know. You know, so give them what they need to know, not what I want to say. That's a completely different approach.
I imagine you have to have, you need very good ear to identify these subtleties and these nuances, and then be able to teach. That's very much what a musician.
I have a good story for you, but I meant
go ahead.
Just let me get this. You're 100% right about the musician, and I'm going to tell a little story about that. But this is what they're missing. So if you have a pile of these in that color value chart, you could teach anybody to speak English. So what's missing, languages are either stress-based, English, Judy, congratulations. There's only one in any word, doesn't matter how long it is. And that's a stress-based language. So all Europeans have some stress in their language. So we can listen to I can listen and think, oh, I know what he's saying, but I think he's from Poland. I know what she's saying. I think maybe she's from Sweden, but I never say, I don't know what she's saying, because they have some of this.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Arabic, Asian, East Indian languages, Hindi, don't have it. The meaning is in each individual sound. So learners who have an orientation, they have software that every sound is important, are so misguided. The sounds that aren't important are reduced to, you know, a cup of coffee, not important, not important. Look, so, you know, it's crazy. So the music part, I was doing a workshop in Japan, and for a company, they had all their international people on the phone. They needed to be intelligible on the phone. So I said, you know, you all need one of these. So, and then we started practicing. So just knowing that one syllable in any word is most important. It gives you the meaning and the pronunciation. So they started with this, and then it shows up in their speaking as well, really quite quickly. You can't get it from hearing it, because you have a filter on your ear from your first language. We all have a filter on our first, right? So you have to do it some other way. So if you do pronunciation, creative, it doesn't matter. Pick a word. Canada, it doesn't matter what word you pick. There's only one. And that's what native speakers are looking for. That's in the intelligibility factor. So these Japanese business people were just doing phenomenally. But one guy just started right away, just reading with the English goes up and down. It goes from important to unimportant, important to unimportant, like that. Does that inside of a word, inside of sentences. That's what it does. So he had this little lilt when he talked, and my brain is going, where would he get that? And my brain's whoosh, and I said, do you play a musical instrument? And he said, yes, I play the guitar. And I said, I can hear it when you're talking, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So there's your music connection. He had music, and he picked the up and down right away.
What would you say are the highlights of your books?
Every word in English is on that page.
Okay, very good.
So that little connection.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was just a moment of a flash of brilliance. I just noticed it, and I wrote out the vowel sounds of English, and everyone corresponded one-to-one with a sound in English. Juice, news, you, to, few. It doesn't matter how you spell it. If it's the sound oo, then it's a blue word. Judy's blue.
I'd like to ask you to play a couple of games with us. I'll read you a couple of sentences, and I wanted to say which one is not natural or a native speaker would hardly use in a conversation. Okay, here's for the first round. The first one is, I'm feeling a bit sluggish this morning. I didn't get much sleep. So the first one.
Okay.
And the second one is, I need to purchase a new attire for my upcoming wedding. Okay, and the third one is I finally finished that writing essay. It took me forever. Okay, which of those is
The second one, definitely not.
all right. Okay, the answer is the game is actually for you, for the viewers. Okay, but you've already, yeah, I've already, yeah, I've already.
All right, I'll wait.
Okay, so
I'll
yeah,
wait.
the second one is not correct. It's not natural. Attire is a bit too formal for everyday conversation, is it?
And too casual would be I need some new threads.
Okay. Outfit instead of attire or
No, threads.
threads. Okay.
I can't remember if it's synecdoche or synesthesia, but you take a part of something and you
Yeah.
have it represent the whole thing. And it's very common in slang. So people don't talk about their new car, they talk about their new wheels.
Second round.
Okay.
Okay, the second round is number one. I bumped into an old friend from school at a coffee shop. And number two, I'm thinking of acquiring a new phone soon. And number three, I'm completely stumped by this maths problem. Which one is not
This is me
natural?
waiting till you tell me to answer.
Okay. And all right, which one is not natural?
The second one again.
The second one again. Okay, and let's just give a view some time. And the answer is okay, it's correct. Okay, yes, of course, acquire a phone is quite a natural, isn't it? Yeah, you don't actually use it in a everyday conversation, do it?
I keep jumping to the extreme, so everyone would know what you meant. No meaning is lost.
Yeah.
And you can talk like that forever. You know,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong there. I got the
Yeah.
whole thing. But a native speaker, it depends if you're talking to your boss or to your friends, right? Your friends would say, I got to get a phone, or this phone's done. That means I have to get a new phone. I think that was a little bit in the TED talk too. My son saying, are you done with that? That means I want your food. There's not one word in what you're saying that indicates what you're meaning.
Yeah, it's already implied.
Context.
Yeah.
That's the context, right?
Okay, okay, here's another, yeah, that's another example that really highlights the importance of context, as you said before.
Context and the important word, phone.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
With something negative, and you said phone.
Everything else is,
right?
Yeah,
everything else is blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so round three, and this recipe is absolutely scrumptious. I'll definitely make it again. And number two, I need to take a siesta. I'm feeling quite drowsy. Number three, the deadline for the project is imminent. I need to get cracking soon.
Are we giving everybody a minute?
Well, yeah, you can answer that. I'll just give it a time
to
say, yeah.
If they're being all casual with their friends and saying, I'm going to take a siesta, they don't have to repeat because I'm tired. Siesta means sleep.
Yeah, it's already implied.
Yeah, it's already in there.
Okay.
So that's a little bit unnatural.
And the third one, yeah. So project is imminent. Yeah, the deadline is the deadline for the project.
You can have an imminent deadline. You can have one.
And
pressure.
But wouldn't imminent sound feel a little bit too dramatic for the
but so is deadline.
for a deadline.
Deadline, those match. The intensity is in both the words. It's a deadline and it's right now.
Okay.
Crack on. Let's go. Let's get to it. So I think those two match. I thought about it for a sec, but I thought, no, I would be fine with that.
Okay. So the next thing I want you to, and I'd like you to play with us. So I'll give you sort of a description, and you can. Your task is to tell me what the word is. Something never experienced before, never done or experienced before.
Nope.
Okay, and the word is unprecedented. Unprecedented.
That's
That's
not, oh, that's a buzzword from 2020?
yeah. It's just
2020. Oh, so what was going on in 2020? That was
the
COVID.
pandemic. Yeah, the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's
So, yeah, unprecedented would
yeah,
have
unprecedented.
special place in our lives in
Yeah,
there
that's
for
the way. Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Sure. That,
Okay.
that
Uh
was me looking for the context.
oh, you see
Why would
that
that
there
word
you
that's been
gave
around for 200 years
mm,
suddenly have profile in
yeah.
2020? You go,
Hmm.
COVID. Your brain can't stop looking for context. It can't.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose that's just the way our brain works, isn't it?
Yes, it
We're always
is.
looking for context to see how on where words fit and how to relate
Yes,
to. Okay, not false or imitation, genuine, not
not false,
or imitation, genuine.
genuine,
Another definition would be true to oneself,
authentic,
authentic.
authentic.
Okay, that's the word. Yeah, authentic.
What year was that one?
That's authentic is what's here is that? Yeah, 2023. Describe the word or a situation or a word, and they have to just say what it is you're describing.
All right. When your job is terminated,
Okay,
you
that's
are
good.
okay.
Sorry, I interrupt
They're
you.
not getting 3 hints for that one.
Okay, so yeah, you've heard it. Can you give them another one?
Oh, like a professional who takes care of your teeth,
Okay,
like
that's
that.
very good. Yes, that's great. Okay. What would you say is your golden piece of advice for those who want to improve uh, fluency, for example, or reach fluency?
But the only way to learn to speak English is to speak English. Adults have a really false sense of if I know enough information about English, then I'll be fluent. One day I'll just magically speak English. And they stay in school for years and years and years.
Yeah,
Never
that's
actually happens. And then children are the opposite. They just join a soccer team and start speaking English. Every
mm,
once in a while, you're going to run into a jerk.
mm,
It's not about you and it's not about your English. That means the next 9 people that you talk to are going to be awesome. So you
mm,
are going to meet a jerk. Don't let him get you down. He maybe he's busy. Maybe he's got something on his mind, you know. But go ahead and talk to strangers. Talk to anybody. Talk to somebody in the grocery store. They'll meet you halfway. They'll meet you more than halfway. They're so impressed that English is not your first language and you're talking.
for teachers, for example, to help them, their students, yeah, with listening and speaking.
More than 80% of teachers avoid pronunciation completely. They
Okay.
avoid it because IPA is a translation step away from the target language. So
Mm.
learners have to already be advanced before they can use IPA. So IPA is ridiculous. Don't use it.
Is it because it feels uh, sort of unnatural? Does it feel unnatural?
Well, yes. So it's
Yeah.
kind of French and Spanish. So they
Mm,
represent an E sound with an I and a Y, or an I and a colon. It's so counterintuitive. It's so counter, or Greek symbols. That means th, and that means it's this translation step away. Doesn't help
mm,
them. And online dictionaries are moving away from it.
mm,
They're writing their own words more phonetically. I mean,
mm,
phonetic is even spelled phonetically. Like it's just ridiculous. So be clear about the distinction between writing and speaking. So you can speak English and not be able to read it, and you can read and write English and not be able to speak it because they're unconnected. So you have to get Speaking works like that, and writing works like that.
As I see it, English learning is very much like a game that you can either learn the rules first or jump
Just
right
play.
in and play, you learn the rules as you play.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally a game. And when you get that it's a game, you can just play and play and play. We make mistakes all of the time, but we don't beat ourselves up over it, you know?
Okay.
So non-native speakers are way too hard on themselves. And there's no exclusive club where nobody makes mistakes. There's no such thing.
Judy, I don't want to take up much of your time. I just want to thank you. I can't tell you how much of a treat it is to have you here on my channel.
Well,
It's
thank you
been
for
a
inviting me.
fantastic conversation, and I've learned a lot. I'm sure viewers also have also.
I'm going to show you this.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's the least amount of information that makes the most amount of difference.
For you watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful interviews like this.
They say, why didn't somebody tell me this? That's what they say all the time. Why didn't somebody just tell me that? But the only way to learn to speak English is to speak English.